8 minutes. That is how long it would take a stone drop from the surface of the ocean to reach the bottom of the deepest trench on Earth. 8 minutes of falling through water that gets colder, darker, and heavier with every meter. By the time it lands, the pressure above it would be enough to flatten a steel drum like a piece of paper. And that is just the ocean. Beneath the ocean floor, beneath the continents, the Earth keeps going for another 6,000 kilometers of rock, metal, and heat that no human instrument has ever touched. We like to think we know our planet. We have mapped every mountain range. We have named every river. We have satellites that can read a license plate from orbit, but point straight down and ask what is there, really there, and the answer is, we are guessing. Everything we believe about the deep Earth is inferred, modeled, estimated. The places on this list are not estimates, they are real, measured, descended into by machines, robots, and human beings who knew the risks and went anyway. A lake in China so deep that two separate scientific expeditions produced two completely different depth readings, and nobody can agree which one is wrong. A mine in Canada where the tunnels go so far down that the rock walls pulse with heat from the planet's interior. A borehole in Germany drilled into the center of an ancient meteor impact crater where the rocks at the bottom are not the rocks that should be there. These are the 10 deepest places on Earth that most people have never heard of. And at the end of this list, there is a place where a human being went alone with no rescue possible, deeper into the Earth than any person before or since. Before we begin, drop a comment right now telling us where you are and what time it is. We want to know how far this video reaches. Number 10. Zacaton, Mexico, New Angle. Most people know this one as the world's deepest water-filled sinkhole. That story has been told. What has not been told is what happened after the robot came back up. In 2007, a NASA autonomous vehicle called DepthX descended through the murky green water of this thermal sinkhole in northeastern Mexico and returned with something unexpected. Not just depth measurements, biological samples, microbial colonies clinging to the mineral-encrusted walls at over 300 meters below the surface, in water that was warm, chemically hostile, and completely cut off from sunlight or surface ecosystems. The organisms were alive, they were metabolizing. They had no access to the resources that life on Earth's surface depends on, and they had apparently been thriving anyway, possibly for thousands of years in total isolation. NASA did not keep those samples in a geology lab. They sent them to an astrobiology unit. The working hypothesis was that if life could sustain itself in a flooded sinkhole in the Mexican desert, with no light and extreme chemistry, it could sustain itself beneath the ice-covered ocean of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. The deepest known flooded sinkhole on Earth is not just a geographic record, it is a biological proof of concept for life on other planets, and the bottom of it has still never been physically reached by any human or machine. Number 9. Hranica Propast, Czech Republic. In the forested hills of Moravia, beneath terrain that looks like a hiking trail, there is a flooded cave that has broken measuring instruments twice. The Hranica Propast, the Hranice Abyss, was long assumed to be deep, but nobody had gone far enough to know how deep. In 2016, a remotely operated vehicle descended past the point where earlier expeditions had turned back. It went past 400 meters. At 473 meters, the cable connecting it to the surface reached its limit. The robot stopped. The sonar it carried pointed downward and showed open water continuing below. A second expedition in 2021 used a modified ROV with extended cable and reached 450 meters, then 473 again, then pushed past it. At approximately 504 meters, the vehicle encountered a passage so narrow that it could not continue. The passage was still open, still going down. The water feeding this cave rises from geothermal sources deep in the Earth's crust. The temperature at depth is measurably warmer than it should be for that elevation, suggesting a heat source that has not been identified. The water is increasingly mineralized with depth, which means something down there is dissolving rock and carrying it upward. Scientists believe the cave may extend past 1,000 meters. They have no instrument that has confirmed it. What they have confirmed is that every time they build a better robot and send it back down, the cave is deeper than the last time. Number 8. Woodingdean Well, England, expanded. In 1858, on the southern coast of England near Brighton, workers began digging a well by hand. They needed water for a newly built workhouse. The local geology was supposed to be straightforward. Chalk and limestone, a reliable aquifer if you do. The deepest places on Earth are not far away. Which place was the deepest? Write in the comments below, and for more videos, like and subscribe.